Hello and welcome to everybody all over Europe to the 27th InnoTalk. Today we are talking about paper-based flexible packaging opportunities and limits. And my name is Carsten Schröder, and I would like to introduce you into this session and then hand over to Guido Aufdenkamp from Flexible Packaging Europe. First of all, I would like to thanks to all our supporters to make this format happen. Thanks to all of them, and everybody is invited to join this circle of supporters and sponsors to gain some advantages from this format. Today, I would like to thanks to the audience first, because we have nearly 1,000 participants all over Europe. That's really nearly a record. You can see this on the menu bar in the middle of the screen. You see it on attendees. You can have a look to the agenda and, of course, to the messages. If you click on the contact person here, you can chat to each other and you can see more details to the contact. For instance, the postal address, this. On the right-hand side of the screen, you have the possibility to interact. All the people who see us on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, please use the Slido tool to interact with us, not the LinkedIn or YouTube chat. We are using the Slido tool, and we try this later on. So on the right-hand side, you can put questions, or we will have some polls there to ask you for your opinion. I just want to start with a very simple questions. How do you estimate the growth in flexible packaging or paper flex pack over the next 5 years? What is your idea? 1%, 5%, 10%? What do you think? And you see that we are really live. So in the right-hand side on the upper corner, you can see the number of votes, 10% at the moment, 5%, more than 10%. Head on head. So all people from YouTube or LinkedIn, please photograph the QR code with your mobile device, and then you are directly linked to the Slido page, or you can go directly to slido.com and enter our meeting with the hashtag INE, and then you can also give your feedback, answer questions to the speakers, and of course to the facilitator. We have more than 70 votes now. It's a bit tricky because the stream takes 10 to 20 seconds to the audience, to LinkedIn, YouTube, and of course to our platform. That's why we have to stay a little bit on this page to see how the votes will finish. More than 10% seems to be the winner. That's really surprising a little bit. There are some studies between 5 and 10%, but more than 10 is really something challenging. Nearly 90 votes now. Thanks so much at the moment. I will go to the next page. As I mentioned, LinkedIn and YouTube live stream today the whole InnoTalk, but there are some advantages to link to our platform, innotalk.eu. And if you don't meet us in our platform, please go to slido.com and use the hashtag INE for InnoTalk Europe to meet our Q&A session. This is the agenda for today. We have 2 speakers, like usual, for the InnoTalk. One from Barcelona, Saika Bigel, and of course from Great Britain, Juan Cano from screen. So we would like to talk about a bit of paper packaging and of course of printing of paper packaging, as you have seen before in the agenda. And now it's time to hand over to Guido Aufdenkamp. Welcome, Guido, to the InnoTalk Europe. Good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carsten, for the nice introduction. I'm particularly happy to have this topic today, paper-based flexible packaging. It is probably the hottest shit in the market because everybody is talking about the paperization. It has fantastic images and perceptions among consumers, brand owners, retailers are using this great perception of paper or fiber-based materials. And I'm happy to have now 2 great speakers who can give you more insights. And I already warned them a little bit. The title of the entire event is Opportunities and Limitations. If there were no limitation, we would have not a potential growth rate of more than 10%, as we just saw, because we would already be in 100% paper flexible packaging. So I'm curious what the advertisers for paper-based flexible packaging applications will have to admit what are potential limitations, if there are any. So first of all, let me introduce you or welcome Juan Carlo from Screen Europe, a digital printing solution provider. And you will go second, Juan. So I'm happy to call you in about a couple of minutes after Miguel's presentation. Yeah, welcome, Miguel. Miguel from Saika Flex. He's since almost 3 years general manager of Saika Flex, but his blood is full of fiber because he is almost 20 years with Saika, and Miguel, for 16 years, ran the recycling, or part of the recycling business of Saika. So he was actually responsible in certain areas at the last, all over Spain and Portugal, to actually execute recycling, not talking about recycling like many others do. He was actually executing it with great success. Fun fact in his CV is that he started as a private banker, and is now in flexible packaging. So that's I would always say they come all to their good senses at the end. So I'm looking forward to see your presentation and how flexible packaging with paper can grow and can gain market shares. Thank you very much for being here, Miguel.
Thank you, Guido. I was not expecting the part of the private banker, but thank you anyway. Okay, thank you, Guido. Okay, hello everybody. Thank you, Guido. Thank you, Carsten. Thank you, audience, also for being here and sharing some experiences with me about what does fiber-based flexible packaging mean, and what can we do from now on. So first, just very fast, 2 minutes about Saika. I don't know how many of you know the company. So Saika, it's an 80-year-old company, so quite already founded quite time ago. It's a growing company. We've been growing 13% over the last 13 years. 30 years, sorry. So we've been growing quite a few also since the foundation of the company. And today we are a 5 billion company with 106 sites, production sites, in 11 countries, where we have working around 10,000 people. So that's more or less the size and the volume of Saika. About Saika itself, as Guido was also saying at the very beginning, we are a paper company. Let's say that the first thing that we can say about Saika is we are a paper company, where we started with a paper mill, but very soon from that start, we already acquired some waste management, collection and sorting companies, and some corrugated board companies, because our idea from the very beginning has been circularity, and with paper, that's what we have done. We are present in the whole circle of paper, and we like to say to our customers, let's say that when we collect some kind of paper or cardboard from the customers, we give it back as a box in less than 7 days. So that's has been our DNA for many years. And probably the other characteristic of Saika has been R&D. We've let's say we've been maybe not the first, but one of the first of doing many things along the history. We were back in the 80s already starting with the cogeneration. for thermal energy and electric energy. We started with the lightweight papers for the corrugated box. We have the biggest waste to energy plant in industrial plant in Europe, generating about 50 megawatts hour of electrical energy. And now we are very much investing on biomass, for example. So R&D, paper, and circularity have been, let's say, our the DNA of the company since its foundation. It is true that in the last years we thought about diversifying. We can call it that way. Geographically, we can say, because we consider Europe as our local market, and we have some investments in the US, and we started our business over there. And also product-wise. And product-wise is when we also enter the flexible market with Sikaflex. It's important to say that that we enter this market with the same thought. So we are a paper company first. Second, we think about circularity. In fact, we invested before. So before even acquiring flexible companies, we invested in a greenfield of a polyethylene recycling facility, and today we recycle 24,000 tons of polyethylene, and also with our, let's say, spirit of R&D. The last thing that we did, for example, is our new R&D building, where we invested 70 million euros on that new R&D building. So that's a bit about Saika. Sikaflex, as I said, 10 sites in Europe, in these countries that you can see on the screen, and we are on the flexible packaging market and also on the labels market. On both markets, we can, let's say, talk about this topic of moving into paper and for the flexible packaging and for the labels. So, first thing, why paper in flexible packaging? So here I have a poll that I think we'll see now running soon. Okay, we see it on the screen. So basically, is how do you see fiber-based flexible packaging? If you see it more sustainable always, in any case, no, or maybe just in some cases, because we talk very much about we'll talk afterwards also about the new products in flexible packaging that probably will not be 100% fiber. So I see there is a very big, let's say, a thought about those paper products that contain other things. Which is quite interesting because paper, in order to reach the properties that we need for food contact, for example, will probably need to have something else on top of the paper. It's also surprising that we see a 35%, 36%, 39% of no. That there are people that do not consider fiber-based flexible packaging as more sustainable. Well, interesting. We'll go through that topic, let's say, now in the following slides. Okay. So why paper? First, I think that following those that poll also, and how people think about paper when they see it on the shelf, on the retailer shelf. The first thing has been following those thoughts of consumers, legislation, right? So legislation has run after all those ideas, probably also followed by some pictures that we can see on the TV or on the news. And we started at the very beginning in the legislation some years ago with the European Green Deal. I know that probably some of you know about this more than me, but we started with some plastic bans, with some bans related to materials, to plastic bans. At the very beginning was straws, cutlery, and things like that. But then on the packaging and packaging waste regulation, we are talking about some new bans. This packaging regulation, we all know that still has to be discussed, and we will see what it is at the end. But the first draft could look like something like this. So some first bans in as soon as 2027, let's say, directed to plastic products. Basically grouping plastic products, but that's already, let's say, a plastic ban that will have to be substituted by some other material. That could be paper. There is another date, 2030, where all packaging products that are put on the market will need to be recyclable. That can be reached probably with maybe not any material, but different materials, plastic and paper for sure. It is true that here if we don't reach the enough recyclability, that product will be also be banned. But then there is another date, 2035, where they are going to ask as the products that are put on the market, in order to be recyclable, that they are effectively recycled. They call recycling at scale. That means that there is a certain percentage of that product, of that material product, that is really recyclable. And here is probably where paper is coming in, let's say, at the fastest pace. Because if there is something that we have to do now with plastics, with plastic flexible packaging, as we said before, and as I saw on the poll, plastic flexible packaging can be made, let's say, designed for recyclable, so ready to recycle, but it has to be really recycled. That's probably the main target or the main challenge that we have with plastics, and where the main investments have to go. Paper, the paper industry has already overcome that hurdle, I would say, and today is the most recyclable material, let's say, in the market. You can see in 2021, here we are putting together also liquid beverage packaging, but 82% of the paper has been recycled. So this is one of the things: legislation, recycling at scale, and some bans related to materials that is pushing flexible packaging to be made out of paper. It is true that this can face some challenges in the future. First, the recyclability method. That's something that I think is solved. CEPI, the industry, the paper industry, where we are also as SAICA, has already put forward a method to measure that recyclability. But now there has to be built a scorecard that is going to be built in the Forever Green Association, that puts together paper companies as us with brand owners, where we'll build a scorecard of, let's say, how far can we be to the ideal recyclability. And that is going to be a challenge, because we're going to see more and more products, let's say, not made 100% of paper. And this takes me also, Guido was mentioning at the very beginning, to the challenges that we have with the fiber-based flexible packaging. First, some concepts. I think that they are very easy to understand. One is the fiber content of that product, which is the fibers that the product has, the pulp, the fibers. Second is the paper content. This is let's say, the fibers plus those products that the paper has by itself, like binding agents, water, etc. So the paper, when the paper is made with those kind of components. And the third is the fiber-based packaging materials, which are paper plus everything else that we put on top of those materials in order to be, let's say, to reach the properties that we need for those products. And that can, of course, mean some coatings, even some lamination, adhesives, inks, etc. And here it has to be said that probably some of the products that we will see in the future will include something else, that it will not be only paper. What does that mean? Well, that means another big challenge for the paper flexible packaging, which is really recycling those fiber-based flexible packaging, and the investments that have to be done to recycle those, that could maybe go against that rate of recyclability of paper. What do I mean by that? So there are different type of mills. In a very simple way, we have standard mills, specialized mills, and the inking mills. The inking mills, we can put them a bit of aside, because that's for graphic paper, newspapers, magazines, etc. Okay, but we have the standard mills and the specialized mills. In the standard mills, you can recycle those fiber-based packaging that are mostly fiber. In fact, what comes into a standard mill, let's say that our limit of acceptance is 1.5% of non-paper components, so it's very low. Whatever has more than that has to go to a specialized mill. And not only that, has to also be collected in a different stream, because if not, it's very difficult that it ends up in a specialized mill. So for that rate of recycling fiber-based packaging, we will need to collect those new types of fiber-based packaging with other things that is not fiber in a different stream, and they will have to end up in a specialized mill. For example, Saika, just to give you an idea, we have 9 standard mills and only 1 specialized mill. So that will need also more investments in the future if that is going to happen in the rate that we have been talking before. Just one point about recyclability. Of course, we Saika, we are a paper company. We recycle paper. So any, let's say, paper packaging, flexible packaging that we put on the market, we always run a CEPI recyclability test before we launch that product. So we are 100% sure that those products, let's say, meet the standards as industry for them to be recycled. Another challenge in the movement from plastic to paper, the process. About the process here, I'm talking about the product itself. So we need to develop new products that have barriers, water, grease, oxygen, etc., aroma, etc. Have different mechanical resistance, have a different sealing force, different capabilities regarding sealing force, tearing resistance, stiffness, etc. So that product has to be developed, and it is being developed still. That's something that is moving, let's say, in the future. The converting process is also a challenge. What we do as a converter, because we need to, let's say, convert that product without breaking those barriers, or at the speed that we are now producing plastic, and also the packaging process at the customer. The customers here, they have packing machines that are thought to be worked in plastic, alu plastic, but mostly in plastic. So when we put paper on those machines, barriers can be affected. Sealing force can be affected. The time and the temperature of that process can be different. Sharp edges have to be taken care of. So there are many things that have to be taken care of in the packaging lines in our customers. And when we do this kind of projects, we normally end up doing retrofittings at the customer side. For that, we have, let's say, agreements with machine producers, with packaging machine producers, in order to also give some ideas on how you would need to do that. But all these changes for a new product can take us 1.5 years, 2 years to put on the market a new paper product. Okay. Although all these let's say challenges, we are putting paper-based products on the market. That is a reality. And we will see afterwards. That's something that is going to be, I think, more and more, and we are fully committed with that. What are we putting on the market? Overwraps. That's for coffee, for example. That's probably an easy one because you don't need, let's say, barrier properties. Multi-packs, following probably some of the bans that we may see with new legislation for those plastic products that are, let's say, grouping formats, so multi-packs. Grouping bands also to substitute the shrink film for grouping again. That is something that is coming very, very soon. Also for fresh produce, for example, here we have developed a paper band that has water resistance and also can be recyclable, which is quite surprising. Also, primary packs with mainly now with water or grease barrier for chocolates, cookies, etc. Also in confectionery, we have on the market wrappers with wax coating that are also made of paper. And also we put on the market paper-based products that are made of recycled paper. That's, let's say, the next step because the products that today are put on the market for food, they are all made from virgin paper. But at some point, we'll need to move forward towards recycled paper. Now we have, for example, paper bands on the market for non-food with recycled paper, and we also have laminated products like the standard pouches for detergents that have a layer of recycled paper and inside another layer of polyethylene in this case, which is also recycled polyethylene because it comes from our recycling facility, polyethylene recycling facility. Again, all of these products have, let's say, have followed the CEPI methodology to make sure that they can really be recycled in a standard mill or either in a specialized mill. As I said, as SAICA, we are fully committed with that. We are a paper company, R&D is our thing, and sustainability is also our thing, and circularity. So, of course, we're going to work on those, let's say, on that target on putting on the market fully recyclable packaging, no matter the material. But we have also a very strong commitment with paper. And I saw the poll from the very beginning on how much, let's say, packaging people think that could be made out of paper in the flexible packaging. So we have our own target. And for 2025, we're going to put on the market at least 50%, 15% of all our structures will be made of paper. And that's the target for 2025. We plan to, let's say, enlarge that target in the following years. So thank you very much. That's what we think about flexible packaging and paper in SAICA, and that's the commitments that you saw just until now. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Taking up the 15% you want to use or to have in the market in 2025. With the comment before of it takes about 1 to 2 years. So basically you can be or must be already quite confident that you achieve this or not based on the projects happening right now. So you probably can overachieve that also with the interest of the people. Yes. I have one initial question before we go to the audience questions, which can be put on Slido and voted on. While the other major substrates for flexible packaging, aluminium and all the polymers are long in the market. They have gone through the evolution, developed more and more. Is paper rather at the beginning or in the middle of the evolutionary process? Where would you put paper for flexible packaging?
No, I mean for flexible packaging, I think that we all would agree with that. We are at the beginning. That's where we are. I have not seen many paper companies, let's say, producing paper thinking about flexible packaging. That's something that has not been happening until now. Have been focused on other things, maybe newspapers, magazines, different companies. Us with only corrugated, we never thought about putting on the market paper. Let's say thinking about flexible packaging, but this is happening now more and more, and it's happening fast. It's happening fast, as you were saying, and you're totally right. We are quite confident that we're going to achieve the target of 15% because we have the stream. We have the projects on the stream. They are there. We know how much volume they could represent, and I have to say that if a product works, yes, if it works, let's say on the process and also works on the economic part, if it works on both parts, they move fast on the market. So people are very much keen of moving into paper. So that's something that is happening. But we are at the beginning. I think that we're going to see many more things. For example, us ourselves. We are investigating now very strongly on different coatings to use recycled paper with food. This is not going to happen in the next year, for sure. But we have our targets there, and I'm sure we can do a lot about that, and this will eventually happen. I don't know if for any product, because I do think that plastic or polymers or other substances will have its place, let's say, in the flexible packaging, but it will happen. It will happen.
Thank you, and also thank you for the link to using recycled content, because this is one of the questions coming from the audience. Most of the questions currently are related to recycling. I will take the first most voted question first. How much of the over 80% recycled paper was used for food packaging? So probably how much of it is going back into food packaging? Do you have an idea?
So at the end, that paper comes from newspapers, magazines, or the inking materials, which is about it's every time less and less because people read less newspapers. But if it's probably now it could be 15%, not more. The rest is corrugated. It's all corrugated. Corrugated normally is secondary packaging, so it's not primary packaging for food. There are some of it, like pizzas, for example, boxes for pizzas, but not much. So paper has not been, as we were saying before, has not been very much involved in food packaging as primary packaging. That is the reality. So we need to move forward with that point. It's clear.
The more successful you are in placing it into the market, the more is coming back.
Yeah.
So the next question would be, will flexible packaging out of paper be able to be used multiple times in food packaging?
So if you mean multiple, times that yeah, it can be recyclable. So at the end, the answer to this question is that you can use recycled paper in food packaging. Because for now, it's very clear. I said it in my presentation. Let's say all the paper fiber-based flexible packaging that is used with virgin paper. So now it's not multiple times. Now, when it's recycled, it's used for another application. For this to be happening, which is not today, so now is zero. Is not today, except probably the boxes for pizzas or something like this. We need to find a way, and we are working on that, of using recycled paper in food packaging. And that is not the case today, but I'm sure it will be in the future for some applications.
I think probably it will be as challenging for paper, even more as it is already for the polyolefins. To used, at least for mechanical recycling process.
Exactly. Same thing.
As I said, most of the questions are related to recycling or the recycled content. So do you have already some figures about the microplastic share in the recycled fibers?
I don't. So here, this one I will not be able to answer because I don't. Now as I'm saying, recycled. Let's say recycled paper is not used for food contact, so it's not something that. But no, this data, I'm sorry, but I don't have it. No.
No, it's excellent. We're just trying to answer that to the full satisfaction. Next question would be: how are consumers protected from MOA in recycled paper with the Saica FlexPack packaging? My immediate questions are: they are protected because you are not using recycled paper at the current stage.
Exactly. That's it. MOA is one of the big issues that we could find using recycled paper. It's clear, and one of the things that we need to tackle in order to use the recycled paper for food contact. All paper that we're using, it's coming from virgin paper. But yes, it's a good question. Is the one that we need to solve moving into the future into recycled paper. It's very clear. It's very clear.
Exactly. Also, as the requirements for other products also raise, combined with increased analytical capabilities. So the question here is another one: how do chemicals, adhesive, have an influence on the recycling process? Probably if there are too many chemicals or adhesives in there, whether it's badly influencing the recycling process.
Yeah, it is, but it is not only. I don't know if this question was thought about the food safety or other, but it influences also the sheet formation of the paper. So adhesives and chemicals and other things, let's say, avoid a good sheet formation of the paper, avoid the formation of a good paper. So yes, I don't know. I didn't go, let's say, very much deep into that, but in the CEPI recycling methodology, we could see that there is an analysis of that, and the impurities that we can have, and yes, so chemicals and adhesives, and chemicals, adhesives, and other things that we put with the paper in order to be used as a food contact flexible packaging. Those things have to be taken care of, and sometimes, as I was saying before, they need to go in a different stream and to be recycled differently. So we recycle, for example, all the liquid beverage packaging that is made in Spain and Portugal in this case, and part of France. And yes, this has to be put in a different stream.
Thank you. So for this session, I would take now the last question. Did you ever compare the carbon footprint of a paper package with a mostly lighter PE package, which is 100% recyclable? I like that one because I assume most of your products you're producing are rather polymers than paper-based.
So yeah, so this question is a very recurrent question. So we see it often, and I understand. So it's not that we want to do everything on paper. We want to do on paper what we can do on paper. And yes, so the answer to this question, and we do it when we launch, let's say, a new paper format. But the answer to this question, if it's better or worse, which I don't know if the question is not that one, but it has to be compared product by product. So different product with different, whatever the properties of the product are, whatever we need to do the product to be doing. But yes, it's the carbon footprint and the life cycle assessment of that product. I mean, that has to be considered. Here, I return this with another question for the audience. This could be true many times, but we need to think about what is the consumer perception, the general consumer perception, because at the end, we put products on a shelf, or the brand owners do, to be bought. So at the end, consumers will buy whatever they think is best. Of course, we can try to give them the most information that we can to make them, let's say, take the best choice. But also there is a trend on the market, and that needs to be followed. But yes, the life cycle assessment and the carbon footprint, it's a big one that also has to do with how many times you can reuse the plastic if that's possible. I understand the question has to be answered product by product, I think.
Exactly. So thank you very much, Miguel, for the time being. I would now call in Juan for his presentation, and we will invite you into the after Juan's presentations to have a chat between the three of us. May I ask Juan to come in now?
Hello, Guido. Yes.
Hello. So great. So paper is everything, we heard. Can be almost used for most of applications, at least from a converting part. You are representing a digital printing solution, Screen Europe. You entered, as I saw, about 8 years ago into the flexible packaging industry, and are now very familiar with it. And I'm really looking forward where you see the opportunities from a digital printing solution provider, and maybe also have some limitations to add. Yeah. Thank you very much for being here, Juan.
Thank you, Guido. Thank you, Guido, for the introduction, and hello, everybody. My name is Juan Cano, and I am the Business Development Director for Screen Europe. Today, I'm going to be talking about the main sustainability drivers in flexible packaging and the growing trend of replacing plastic packaging with paper to meet consumer demands for eco-friendly solutions. I will also describe how versatile paper-based packaging can be and the applications where it has successfully replaced traditional plastic packaging, but also highlighting its performance limitations, as Guido actually alluded to in the introduction. Then we will move the discussion towards inkjet digital printing, on how this technology can be a catalyst to accelerate mass market adoption of paper-based packaging, and how digital printing can also help converters and brand owners achieve some of their sustainability goals with a technology that delivers a much lower environmental impact compared to traditional analog printing. But first, let me briefly introduce Screen. Who are we, our vision heritage in the graphic art, and our key differentiators in the market. So Screen, who are we? Screen is a Japanese corporation with headquarters in Kyoto. We have been producing state-of-the-art equipment for more than 80 years, and today we are a worldwide organization with 6,000 employees and a turnover in excess of 3.5 billion euro. We design and produce high-quality, high-tech capital equipment and machinery and related software for three main industries: the semiconductors, the graphic arts, which is the division that we belong to, and the flat panel display. And just like our colleagues at SAICA, this year Screen is celebrating its 80th anniversary of history. So in the graphic arts division, we are the largest CTP equipment producer with approximately more than 20,000 euros manufacturers under the Screen brand or our OEM partners. But about 20 years ago, we started to design, produce a standalone high-speed water-based inkjet digital printing press, the TruePress Jet series for direct mail, commercial, and book printing. Then later on, 10 years ago, we developed a similar machine using UV inks for the label market, where we are rapidly growing our market share. And the latest addition to our machine portfolio is the TruePack range for flexible packaging applications, the one that I am responsible for. The first machine that we introduced early on this year was the Pack A30F. It's an industrial inkjet digital printing press designed for printing onto plastic films. And lately, we are launching the Pack 520P, which is aimed for printing a paper-based packaging, which is actually the focuses today. So both units for flexible packaging have got a common denominator, and they are both they are using water-based food-compliant inks. Equus is our workflow system. It's a proprietary digital front end that controls all our equipment in the market. So in this first session, I would like to focus on the main sustainability drivers and how brand owners are responding to the market demands. But before I do that, I would like to ask also a question to our esteemed audience as to where paper-based packaging sits in the sustainability strategy. So we got a Slido survey. So do you currently include paper-based packaging as a component of your sustainability strategy for flexible packaging? We're launching the poll. So the answer is yes, it is a significant part of the strategy. B, we are considering, but it hasn't been fully incorporated yet. And no, paper-based packaging is not part of our strategy. So I just want to actually gauge, just like Miguel did early on, just try to understand how paper-based packaging fits in your sustainability strategy, as part of your goals to reduce the reliance on virgin materials. So I can see that a growing majority of you actually chosen answer number A, which I believe is a good sign that everybody's actually, or most of you are actually already using or taking paper-based packaging as part of your strategy. And so there overwhelmingly, there is only a small minority of around 12% that are not yet taking this into consideration. But hopefully we can actually change your mind, with this session. So now we're moving on to the presentation. A significant shift is happening as the perception of paper packaging being more sustainable, recyclable, and eco-friendly alternative is rapidly gaining traction in the market. And this trend has been broadly documented in numerous studies in Europe. So we got, according to two sites, a consulting firm in the UK, 70% of the consumers in Europe are taking active steps to reduce their use of plastic packaging. Then in the UK, a survey conducted by McKinsey revealed that 63% of consumers perceive plastic packaging as more sustainable and eco-friendly. And the fact is, as Miguel actually described earlier, is that the paper has got a higher recycling rate, and that's actually the same statistic. Around 82% of the paper, according to Eurostat, is recycled. But the European paper industry has set even a more ambitious goal to actually reach up to 90% of recycling rate for paper by 2030. So we are gearing towards that direction. And finally, a study commissioned by Anchor revealed that consumers are willing to pay a little bit more for a packaging that is actually more sustainable and environmentally friendly. So the rapid adoption of paper-based packaging in flexible packaging is primarily driven by two interconnected factors. Consumers, on the one hand, are becoming more increasingly eco-conscious, and they perceive paper as a more environmentally friendly and easy to recycle substrate. And this shift in consumer mindset has compelled brand owners to embrace paper packaging, recognizing that actually it aligns with their corporate sustainability goals. So it does make sense. So what are the brands actually doing about it? Brands have picked up this background noise, and they have actually made pledges to transform the entire packaging portfolio to be more sustainable by reducing the reliance on virgin plastics. So some of the examples include Nestle. They want to reduce the use of virgin plastic by 1/3, and that's actually huge, by 2025. Unilever, they want to reduce the amount of virgin plastic in their packaging by 2025. PepsiCo, in the same line, they want to reduce plastic use across the beverage portfolio by 35%. Kraft Heinz, has announced a new target to reduce plastic by 20% by 2030. Kellogg's goal is to actually work towards 100% reusable, recyclable, or compostable packaging by 2029. Danone, General Mills, and Ferrero, they have actually both very similar commitments as Kellogg's, and they all are aiming to use more vague. But they too want to reduce the environmental impact of their packaging, aiming to make it all its packaging recyclable, reusable, compostable. Mondelez, by 2025, the company aims to plastic use on the overall plastic packaging. So as you can see, all the brand owners have actually taken this very seriously. Resource efficiency, reduction of reliance on fossil fuels or virgin plastic, but transitioning some of their packaging into plastic alternatives such as paper or compostable materials is one avenue to meet their sustainability goals. However, the speed of this shift, as described by Saika earlier, depends on the industry ability to introduce fully recyclable paper-based packaging with the same performance profile as the incumbent solution that they are meant to replace, and at an affordable cost. And that, I believe, is key. It has to be affordable, it has to make sense. Now, in the next part of this presentation, I'm going to be talking about some typical examples where flexible packaging applications where paper has successfully been replaced by or has replaced plastic. And I will describe how versatile this is, papers as a substrate, but also I will highlight some of the limitations of use. So paperization is rapidly growing and is a trend that is impacting the whole packaging industry. We have seen examples in the rigid packaging applications. We also see that or paper pulp being used in liquid bottles, which is also actually is another avenue. And in flexible packaging, we all actually have seen Nestle transformation of the entire Smartest brand to be retailed in paper-based packaging. And that is actually one entire brand of Nestle. That's actually millions of tons of packaging material every year, which has actually transitioned to paper or fiber-based material instead of plastic. A similar example from another large confectionery manufacturer in Germany, Rita Sport, where they're going into the same direction of trying to replace packaging for paper wherever possible, But this sustainability transformation of flexible packaging is not only affecting food packaging. We have seen an increasing number of non-food applications where brands are increasingly using paper, like toys. We got a giant like Lego. They're also taking that into consideration. What can they do to reduce the environmental impact of their packaging on the planet? So we see that examples on DIY stores, e-commerce, spare parts, detergents, dishwasher tablets, hygiene products, and many, many, many more to come. So this trend is actually real and is happening. The applications where paper-based packaging is steadily replacing traditional plastic multi-layer laminate structure are diverse and present a wide range of opportunities for growth. The low-hanging fruit, where paper can replace plastic, is in secondary packaging for multi-packs, where a simple heat-sealable paper with no barrier properties is required. And these are two similar examples of secondary multi-pack paper applications, where the product is protected by primary packaging. So these multi-packs will have the product inside individually wrapped in a barrier packaging. So the product is still protected. When it comes to primary packaging, then it gets a little bit more complicated, as the paper needs to have a certain level of barrier performance to preserve the integrity of the product, which is actually the main purpose of packaging. So product protection is a basic requirement for any form of packaging. And in food packaging, we see a faster transition to paper in confectionery packaging applications, low to medium barrier performance, chocolate bars, sweets, dry nuts, dry soup powders, frozen foods, sliced bread, and many more. And here, the key is to qualify the barrier performance of the paper to ensure that the product's shelf life is maintained. Miguel was actually talking about how long it takes to bring this transformation to market. It takes 1.5 to 2 years. You not only need to take into account the machinability of the paper, but also, and more importantly, the barrier performance. It has to meet the same performance profile as the incumbent material, the plastic packaging that is meant to replace. So that's actually a key and important fact. So paper in flexible packaging applications offers a very versatile and modular solution. It's adaptable to the needs and demands of the market. I think we are focusing today in my presentation about uncoating or machine glaze paper, which is the vast majority of the preferred option in the market. The European market, around 80 to 80% of the market, will prefer uncoated paper because it will have that matte finish, that natural feel and appearance of paper, and that will actually help ultimately the consumers to actually find the correct stream for recycling. So we start with a basic uncoated paper between 45 to 100 grams, and then we start building up the layers, the performance. The basic one is heat seal or cold seal. We need to seal that package. So usually if you apply a heat seal, it will come with the paper. If you actually want to use cold seal, you need to do that at a converter site. Then, and that's the basic configuration for a secondary packaging, multi-pack. Then when we move to primary packaging, we start adding the barrier properties and the barrier functionality, and that is actually when you need to liaise quite closely with the paper manufacturer, with the converter, to make sure that the specifications of the barrier actually meet the product that you're trying to protect. So you can have a oxygen barrier layer, you can have mineral oil barrier coatings, you can have coatings against mineral or grease barrier, and also you can build up moisture barrier performance as well. And most of these coatings are actually dispersed coatings or acrylic coatings that can be actually applied during the manufacturing of the paper. Others, however, as Saika also explained, they can actually be a combination of paper and another material through adhesive lamination. Or you can actually extrude a layer of PE to actually reduce the coefficient of friction of that paper. You can actually laminate against another film, or you can laminate against metallized film or metallization to increase the barrier performance. So that's actually the technical part where you need to select the right configuration. We, from a printing point of view, we really are neutral to the layer performance because we print on the top, we print on the other side. So it doesn't matter what the configuration of your paper is, our inks will be applied on the external side, which is actually the layer which will communicate to the consumer, and it will convey the message. So that's actually a little bit talking about the versatility of paper. And then while paper packaging brings remarkable sustainability benefits, it does come with some limitations when replacing existing multi-layer plastic laminate. And some of this limitation needs to be acknowledged to make more informed decisions. So for instance, when it comes to barrier performance, high barrier performance applications requires, the use of metallized films or aluminum foil layers, and then is when you need to make sure that packaging structure complies with the recycling methods, recycling processes that are available in the market with these products going to be sold, and then is highly unharmonized in Europe. Every country will have a slightly different method to actually test the recyclability of that. So you need to actually make sure that that complies with the local regulations. When it comes to the filling lines, the filling lines, the higher coefficient of friction of the paper can also slow down the packaging from film lines, and also the porous nature of the paper make it susceptible to tearing during the filling process, especially if there are sharp metal objects in the machinery. So again, I think Miguel touched on the fact that you need to slightly optimize the filling lines to when you move away from a pure plastic packaging to paper. That you need to have a little bit of a cooperation with the filling line machine makers to be able to actually qualify this new packaging structure, these new papers, and also the sealing performance. Let's not forget that that's actually one of to fully protect the integrity of the product. Paper packaging needs to effectively and hermetically seal during the filling process to form a finished package. And this can be done through heat seal lacquer or cold seal adhesive. You don't put enough pressure or enough temperature, you end up with a leak. You put too much pressure or too much temperature, you start damaging the seal. It will actually render the packaging unusable. So you need to actually find the right performance. And for that, the ink selection that you have will also have an impact. You need to make sure that the inks that you're applying will withstand the temperatures and the pressures utilized during the sealing, so you don't lose the message conveyed by the brand. So to address these limitations, paper can be fortified with layers of extruded or coated polymer dispersions, adding functionalities while maintaining their recyclability. However, it is essential to find the right balance to ensure that this functionality and these functional papers align with existing paper recycling guidelines, as I said before. So how can inkjet digital printing help to ramp up the production volumes? So inkjet digital printing can be a catalyst for sustainable paper packaging. So selecting the right functional paper for the intended use is only the beginning. To really accelerate market development and to gain market traction in this sustainability trend, brands and converters should consider adopting a compact and agile, flexible inkjet digital printing press. So digital printing is easy to install, and they are compact. They don't require highly skilled printing specialists, making them accessible to a wider range of users, including brand owners, where printing can be done next to the product filling lines. Imagine how much you can reduce your carbon footprint if the printing was done in the factory, where the product is actually being packed. So digital printing also enables a print-on-demand capabilities, which eliminates the need to print large amount of packaging and store that packaging, so excessive inventory will be an issue, and that will help to reduce or to improve resource utilization, and that reduces the risk of obsolete packaging. In addition, working on a digital workflow helps to maintain color consistency and brand identity. So with its precision, eliminates manual color adjustment and ensure each print accurately mirrors the brand distinct color palette. And in terms of sustainability, this printing method generates less waste during the setup and production, eliminating the need for printing plates or engraving cylinders. Again, we are reducing the amount of CO2 emissions that we are actually using. So in that context, and if your sustainability goal is to reduce the amount of plastic material used in your flexible packaging, Screen offers a compact and high-speed inkjet digital printing platform capable to print onto uncoated paper surfaces between 45 to 250 GSM, although typically in flexible packaging, we will be talking about 45 to 120 GSM maximum. The machine actually runs fast, is 80 minutes per minute, with a printing width of 520 millimeters. We are using water-based food compliant inks, and that is actually a key element when we talk about food packaging. We need to have water-based inks, and they need to comply with all the food safety regulations in the market. We're using a CMYK printing engine, with high print resolution. And inkjet digital printing will have the added functionality of variable data printing, which could be a very interesting asset when you move into smart packaging. So the new TruePress Pack 520p is a highly versatile and flexible unit that can help converters to take advantage of this fast-growing trend by printing small quantities of paper-based packaging with or without barrier, with quick turnaround times, and that would actually help you to ramp up the volumes at the beginning. So digital printing will never be competitive when we talk about medium to long runs. That's actually the world of analog, but it can help you to develop the market very fast and very flexibly at the beginning when you are moving to a new market. So in terms of sustainability, for the final part of this presentation, I will be focusing on the benefits of digital printing and how this technology can help increase the packaging circularity. So to start with, inkjet digital printing, when applied to paper packaging, offers a significant lower environmental impact compared to the traditional analog printing process like flexo or rotogravure. This environmental advantage can be a crucial factor in helping brand owners and converters to reduce CO2 emissions throughout the entire packaging's life cycle, something that can be quantifiable. So to start with, inkjet digital printing is more energy efficient than flexo and rotogravure. It significantly reduces waste during machine setup and production, which translates into a reduction of CO2 emissions. And unlike the analog printing process, which require the production of tooling, either printing plate or engraving cylinders, inkjet digital printing is plateless. You take advantage of that fast and response to the market. Digital printing also offers a print-on-demand capabilities, as we said before, and that means that brand owners and packaging converters can produce only the required quantity, reducing the risk of overproduction. And the on-demand model ensures that only the necessary packaging is produced, minimizing waste and emissions. It also uses water-based inks, which have a low environmental impact compared to solvent-based inks used in the traditional processes, and they produce fewer volatile or VOC to the atmosphere. And finally, digital printing supports the resource efficiency by avoiding the generation of obsolete packaging. Just think about how much packaging gets destroyed every year by brands, and the impact on the footprint of their entire operations. By having this digital printing equipment, you will reduce all of that. You will cut that waste to a bare minimum. So paper is widely perceived by consumers and brand owners as more environmentally friendly than plastic, and its benefits in terms of circularity are undeniable. However, it is essential, as we said before, and Miguel explained before, it is essential that we emphasize that these facts should always be validated through a science-based method, such as packaging life cycle analysis. This is a comprehensive assessment that takes a holistic approach, looking into the various factors, including CO2 emissions, transportation, production and printing costs, supply chain efficiencies, and recycling costs. So incorporating an inkjet digital printing into your production of your paper-based packaging is a sustainable choice that aligns with the broader environmental goals for brand owners and packaging converters. But when conducting a life cycle analysis for paper packaging, it is crucial to consider the substantial CO2 emission reduction associated with adopting inkjet digital printing, which makes it a compelling choice for environmentally conscious brands. So finally, let's not forget that packaging circularity strategies like this one, replacing or moving towards paper-based packaging, are only effective if they are done at scale, they are affordable, the packaging replicates the same properties as the materials that it's trying to replace, and that they make sense to protect the environment. And with that, I conclude my presentation today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Juan, for this very comprehensive overview. I think you pointed it out very well that there is more than one dimension necessary for decision making than just sustainability or just cost or affordability, etc. So it is a mix of many things, and I think that is where people have to really investigate thoroughly to then take the right decisions, which take a bit of a time. We have some questions, and I would like to kick it off, which is directly related to your printing process. Would it be possible to apply a barrier via digital printing or varnish on the paper?
That is a little bit more complicated. I think the barrier is always coming on the opposite side of the ink. When it comes to the paper, the barrier always apply on the internal side, and applying a barrier coating requires quite a heavy coat weight. So you require a specialist coating equipment and drying equipment to do that. So we always advise that the barrier performance or the barrier layers gets applied before the paper is actually used for printing. Applying a varnish on top of the printing is possible. It can be done, and even you can incorporate that in line after the printing. So that is more feasible.
So on your machine?
On our machine, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's okay. Just to be clear that there is not an additional one necessary. Yep. There are a couple of questions which I see that if everybody's going for paper, will there be enough paper available? What is your opinion?
Yeah, that's actually another question. I think everybody, like Miguel said before, the consumers, there is a massive consumer groups pressure to move for paper. I think we need to take a common sense approach. There are resources in terms of paper use are not limitless. There is always a limit as to what we can approach. I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. There will be applications where using paper-based packaging makes sense, and they are they fit in the environmentally conscious minds, and it fits into the sustainability goals of brand owners and converters. But paper will not replace every form of packaging in the industry. There are certain forms of flexible packaging you require high barrier performance, and for that, having a monomaterial or multi-material flexible packaging structure will be still a better choice. And that's the reason why I encourage everybody to use the life cycle analysis as a standard, as a starting point. It's not going to give you a 100% the answer, but it's a good starting point to make informed decisions.
I fully agree, and that's why we as Flexible Packaging Europe are also material neutral. We believe that all of the major substances have their role and their place for the different applications. One last question before we go into the panel with Colin and Miguel back in. Why is the heat seal coat seal layer overcoated by barrier coatings? Will this not impact the sealability?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, because what I showed there is actually layers over layer, but in reality, when you're talking about dispersed coating, usually oxygen barrier layers are mixed with heat seal in the same formulation. So I actually show that different layers, but they will come into.
While we see many substrates wanting to be paper by adding a matte finish with a paper packaging which wants to be particularly shiny and not provide the paper image. Is it true, just my perception, or is it a general perception or observation what you can see in the market?
From my point of view, and I can just share with you what I see in the market, I think it's a regional choice. In Europe, the vast majority of the consumers, they prefer to have around 80 to 85% of the market prefers to have this natural feel and natural look of the paper. In other markets, like North America, it might be a little bit less clear. And certainly in Asian market, the trend seems to be that they like still that shiny, glossy finish. From a recyclability point of view, I think it makes sense to actually go with the matte finish, because we are making it obvious to the consumers that this is a paper packaging material. We at Screen, we do have machines that can print on coated paper, and that will give you a very high resolution glossy finish. But then you start confusing the consumer. Is it plastic? Is it paper? It won't be as clear. And therefore, we are actually sending misleading messages for the consumer as to where the paper needs to be disposed of, and that's actually, I believe, is the key.
Yeah, on my side, not much more to say from what Juan said. I think that the answer to this question is the survey that Juan just showed some minutes ago. What does a consumer prefer when it goes to the shelf? And I think that this person that is asking the right question, what he sees is the reality. That's what's happening, at least in the local markets. As Juan was saying, maybe, I don't know, some other markets is a bit different, in Asia, whatever. But here, that's what's happening. But you can see it on those answers. When that survey changes, he will probably see some paper with some more shiny finish. But now we have done some projects with some brand owners. When we do that, we trial different papers, coated papers, and some more with natural finish, matte finish. And at the end, yes, we have a lot of discussions here because the marketing department also plays a role here, and they like better the printing on the shiny finish. But then when it comes to the shelf and to the consumer perception, they always end up with a matte finish. So that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now, which is a challenge in the printing technology. But we are overcoming it, more or less.
Thank you. Maybe start with you, Miguel, with the next question. With the films and converters are often extruding themselves or co-extruding, so they have quite a big knowledge of the polymer part of flexible packaging. With paper, do you see the knowledge for development is also with the converters, or is it almost purely at a paper supplier side?
So that's a very good question for me, because when we took the decision to go into flexibles, we decided on purpose. Even we have the polyethylene recycling company, so we are recycling polyethylene today. We decided to be so not to step into extrusion. That's was a very conscious decision in order to see what material at the end, let's say, would be the one that we should work more on. So in the case that we see some kind of a polymer that maybe is taking the lead, we can close the loop with our recycling facility. But regarding paper knowledge, so yes, we do have it. So we've been 80 years doing paper, so that's basically what we have. We have the paper knowledge. If this is a common trend among all converters, yes, you're right. Probably there's just a few, very few that have that paper knowledge. I agree with that. In our case, we do have it because for the history of our company.
Thank you. So there are a couple of questions from the audience, and I'll take them as they are voted. I'm laughing a little bit. Do you expect the price of paper packaging to fall in the next 5 years?
If I would know how to answer that, I wouldn't be working in Saika anymore. I would do something else. I would do something else in my life. But so I don't know if I can answer that. So as you can see, I think that all let's say raw materials have been falling during the last period, and the next months we don't see an increase, a very sharp increase. That's what I can share. 5 years is too difficult for me. It's too difficult for me, really.
Yeah. As an economist, I would have answered it depends, on demand and supply.
Exactly.
And many other things. So.
But one point that's important is actually when we are talking about replacing plastic for paper, the economics needs to work. I think consumers, as we can see, they are prepared to pay a little bit, 10%, 20% more for a sustainable paper-based packaging, but they're not going to pay double the cost. So I think when you're adding the layers of the polymers to have the barrier functionality, when you're adding all the other performance functionality, I think you need to be careful that it stays pretty much in line with the material that you're trying to replace in terms of the cost. It has to be affordable.
And this is probably in times of high inflation and cost pressure on consumers, but also brands, a more conscious question than in times where everything is a bit more flourish. There is another question. Do you have solutions of replacement of PE on barrier coating, which is recyclable, for disposable cups? Now we are going into a more leaving a bit the flexible side.
So if the question is for us, no, we don't. So we don't do disposable cups. So now we do some leadings for some other things, but not in this case. So for the moment we don't. But but I don't think we need to have all the flexible packaging changed to paper. It's only, I think we said that several times already in this meeting. It's only whatever it makes sense. For example, PE, if we find a way of, we're doing mechanical recycling, but if we find a way to have a recycled PE that can be, that can be a lead, that can be can work on that particular format, then we just need to use. I mean, it's not. I think we don't need to pretend to change, every single product from plastic to paper. Which, by the way, I don't think it will happen either.
Exactly. Here a question which is probably also directly related to Juan. Do you supply the printing ink with a machine, or is the ink freely available on the market, as they think there is more competition for inks on the market?
I think we supply both the hardware part of the machine, the software, and also the inks. The development of inks for digital printing is quite an integral part of what we do, but also it's actually providing reassurance to the market, because the inks, they need to be food compliant. And we cannot allow that, to be freely available to everybody in the market. I think we need to, when we formulate the inks for our printing equipment that goes into food packaging, or the production of food packaging, the formulation, and we have to go through thorough immigration tests to make sure that the ink is stable and it doesn't migrate through the layers. So no, the answer is there is a risk for the converter, for the brand owner, for the consumer, if we actually open up the door for our customers to actually buy their own inks. I think that's the reason why we want to actually supply the machine, the hardware, and the ink.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank both of you very much. I'm getting kind of a signal from Carsten, who would like to summarize and wrap up the event. Thank you so much for this interesting discussion. I also see more questions coming up. So it is a proof that the audience liked your comments, your presentations. Thank you very much. And have a great weekend, and then also a great Christmas time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Guido.
Thanks so much, Guido, for this nice moderation. It was really a pleasure listening to you, to three of all, of course. I would like to summarize, as you mentioned before. So this was the 27th InnoTalk, and these were the supporters for this InnoTalk. Thanks so much again. But I would like to go into the technical detail. You mentioned, Miguel, that there is some pressure on increasing the recycling rates by law in the European Union and worldwide. Of course, we have a climate crisis and we have to work on it in any case. So thanks for giving us this short update. And then you pointed out that there are a lot of new and well-known paper-based food packagings, and of course for other products. And so it's up to us to use them where it makes sense. That's what I learned from you in your presentation, beside other things. Thanks, Miguel, for being with us. And then Juan, of course, these figures seems to be relevant for the marketeers, but I do not think that any Lego will be sold more because of paper packaging. Maybe you will be right, but I don't think so really. But the truth is, the marketing or the marketeers like paper because they want to add some added value to their brands, and maybe that makes sense. And if it's worth concerning CO2, water consumption, and all this kind of stuff, why not using paper where it makes sense? And this example is really brilliant. I would like to see the figures before and after of Lego sales, but that's another story. The benefit of inkjet is clear. It's you do need less CO2 emission for inkjet compared to other printing methods. We heard this last week in the Expertentreff Verpackungsdruck in Osnabrück from several speakers, where we have all the relevant stakeholders in Osnabrück. And yeah, it's true that we can realize smaller and medium-sized quantities, of course, with well-developed inkjet printing presses. That was the InnoTalk for this year, but of course we have another events, the 21st Inno meeting in person and in live stream in Osnabrück in German. 21st, 22nd of February is the next big event for the Flexpack industry in the German-speaking region. And the next InnoTalk will take place on Friday, the 19th of January in German. And it's exactly the opposite to this InnoTalk. And that's not an accident. That's we want to discuss these two opposite strategies. And we are happy to see Südback there and Henkel, which are working on more sustainable and better recyclable multi-material laminates. So very interesting stuff. Thanks for being with us. Have a nice weekend. I'm happy to see you on the next InnoTalk.